on your teaching after that.
Who's Ari?
Hello.
Simcha?
Where?
Simcha, you want to go upstairs?
I just wanted to, yeah, I'll go. I was just speaking to Tanya. So, what do I call it? Something that, he's like, oh, I got really good problems. Oh, no, I said, "Oh, you get it." Yeah, everything is fine. We just got to get it.
Hello, Ahuva. How are you?
Great, Baruch Hashem. How are you?
Baruch Hashem. Wonderful. Wonderful. Just concerned for our brothers and sisters in the Holy Land. But
Yes.
otherwise, thank God. Holiday is coming. Going to celebrate. Do you have a shul close to you that you can go for the 10 Commandments tomorrow?
Yes, I'm going to go tomorrow at 10 a.m. and then I'll go to another one for the ice cream buffet in the evening.
Oh, it looks like you got things happening.
Yes, and this new time for class was perfect. I just got back from the grocery store and I'll do some cooking afterwards.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Hi, Joelle,
Yeah.
welcome.
Hi, Rabbi Fine. Oh, attends, je vais lui dire bonjour. Oh, zut, pourquoi ça marche pas? Oh, God.
I know what happened there. Everything's okay?
Hi, Rabbi Fine. Joel is speaking. How are you?
Yes, I know. I see your name. I don't see you, but I see your name.
Yeah, it's the beginning. It's the beginning. Nice to see you, Rabbi Fine. Nice to be here.
Oh, wow. Denise, where you're on vacation somewhere, it looks like. Looks like you're in the Caribbean, or what's the mountains behind you?
Me?
Huh?
Oh, that's Martinique.
That's what?
Martinique.
Say Martinique? I was there once.
Martinique. Oui.
French department.
Okay, let me. right. Welcome, Reggie. I'm gonna go online. Give me a moment.
That interview this morning was incredible, huh?
Oh yeah, totally. Totally.
It was
Yeah,
really
it
great
was beautiful.
and inspiring.
Okay. Having trouble here with Facebook.
By
We'll
Rob.
try it. Hey, Andrew. Welcome. Reggie.
Okay. Hey, Rabbi.
Ah,
Amazing.
all right. There we go.
Rabbi Rob is amazing, inspiring.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get onto Facebook and having some challenges over here.
Okay.
Guess what? Not every challenge do we prevail. Oh my gosh, what's going on here? Oh, no. Continuing.
Martinique is a French department, Rabbi Fine. The Caribbean.
No. Wants to go onto my wife's Facebook page. I don't know why. Okay, you know what? Whatever. Hello, Leanna. Welcome, welcome. Okay. Davita's with us. I'm going to try one last chance at this.
Martinique is a French department in the Caribbean.
Ouais, tout à fait. Ouais, c'est vrai.
No. One.
Yeah, terrible. Yes. Terrible.
Okay. Guess what? Today's class is going to be brought to you by Zoom, and that's it. All right. Welcome, Heather. Welcome, Davida. So let us learn something on Erev Shavuos so we can go into the holiday with some more learning. This learning is for our brothers and sisters in the Holy Land of Israel who need our support. They need our support through our prayers. They need our support through learning. They need our support in every way that we can support them. And the greatest support is doing a mitzvah. There's no doubt. I mentioned this on Shabbos, and I mentioned this again. That welcome, David and Ari. 39 years ago, I remember very well. Simcha and I were just here just over a year in Montreal. And the Rebbe came out with a campaign about signing up people for the Sefer Torah, everybody having a letter. Every Jew should have a letter in a Torah scroll. And before Shavuos, he made such an urgent plea that we should drop everything we're doing and go out and sign up people for a letter in the Torah. And he didn't explain, didn't say anything, just an urgent plea. I was in charge of the organizing and making it happen. And I was driving people, women that have families, and to cook for their families. They didn't cook for their families. I don't know what exactly, maybe got some takeout. I don't know exactly what they did. But they were, this hour, I was still in, Côte St. Luc, for those familiar with Côte St. Luc in Montreal, in the suburb over here. People going door to door, knocking on the door and speaking to them about having a letter and a Torah scroll, and so on and so forth. Dozens of women and men, and it was unbelievable. That night, we understood why. I mean, from our perspective at least. The nuclear reactor in Iraq, the Osrak nuclear reactor, was bombed that night by the Israeli forces and destroyed and obliterated. He never said nothing, but he, of course, obviously knew what was impending and wanted to make sure that that mission would come off without a hitch, which it came off without a hitch. Why did it come off without a hitch? Is because we're all hitched together. All the Jewish people are hitched together. We recognize we're all hitched together, and that when we do something it affects us all. And that's what we did. We're beyond the measure of duty. With the women in particular, I mean, it was unreal. And we didn't understand. Like, they never said, drop everything, go in door to door and go and reach out to Jews and so on. And then we understood that night. So likewise, what's going on in Israel today, we need to make that clarion call and do whatever we can. So the truth is, my Yetzer Hara was telling me, don't give the class. I have a good excuse not to give the class. I'm busy, it's Erev Shavuos, everybody's busy, who's going to come and learn anyways? I thought, no. First of all, gotta be responsible. Secondly is, some people depend on this. And thirdly, what if our class would actually save a soul? Now, I'm not a prophet or a son of a prophet that I would know that, right? But I believe that potentially it could. And therefore, of course, Friday night we were coming from shul, and of course, the normal talk and the engagement is of what's going on in Israel. So I said to everybody, you know what? Let's not talk about it. Let's do something about it. And what are you going to do on Shabbos? So on the way back, we just talked I gave over for Rambam, some of the teachings that we gave that Friday afternoon that we learned together, and said, let's learn something together. And even though we're walking and it's hard maybe to concentrate, but let's learn something together. And that learning in the merits of our brothers and sisters in the Holy Land, that it should do well for them. And again, do I know? I have no idea, but I do believe that because we are connected, and because in the end everything in this physical world evolves from the spiritual world, if we do something of that notion, if we do something in that manner of another mitzvah rooted in the spiritual worlds above, that will bring a new light into this world, this is what we can do. So hence, let us learn something. So in this, we're not going to learn about Shavuos actually, but we'll try to tie it in at the end with Shavuos. So in this week's Parshah Nasso, which is the longest Parsha, if I remember correctly, it's something like 176 Torah verses, huge Parsha. And we continue with the count of the Levites in the Parsha, we continue with the count. If at the end of last week's parsha, and as a matter of fact, we spoke about in last week's Torah studies, was also about the count. Remember there we spoke about the Levites being counted from 1 month onwards, and then from 30 to 50. So we're going to continue with that idea of 30 to 50 and the count of the Levites. And you have in front of you right here. Everybody see that on the screen in front of them?
Yes, Rabbi.
Wonderful. Let me make it maybe a bit larger. Okay. So the following is the service of the sons of Kahat in the tent of meeting, the Holy of Holies. Aaron and his sons shall finish covering the holy and all of the vessels of the holy when the camp is set to travel, and following that, the sons of Kahat shall come to carry them, the vessels, but they shall not touch the sacred objects, for then they will die, early death, premature death from the hands of heaven. These are the burdens of the sons of Kahat in the tent of meeting. This is the service of the Gershonite family in the service and to carry. They shall carry the curtains of the Mishkan and the tent of meeting, its covering, and the tachash skin covering overlaid upon it, and the screen for the entrance for the tent of meeting. The hangings of the courtyard, the screen of the entrance of the gate in the courtyard, which is around the Mishkan and the altar, their ropes and the work involved and everything that was made for them. And thus shall they serve. And for the sons of Merari, you shall count them by their families according to their fathers' houses. This is the charge of their burden for all the service of the tent of meeting, the planks of the Mishkan, its bars, its pillars, and its sockets, the pillars of the surrounding courtyard, their sockets, their pegs, their ropes, all of the implements for all of the work involved, and they shall designate by name the implements charged to them for their burden. This is the service of families of the son of Merari for all the services of the tent meeting, which was under the supervision of Itamar, the son of Aaron HaKohen. So what do we have over here? We have here the three sons of Levi, Kahat, Gershon, and Merari. Each one has a different responsibility in the movement of the Mishkan, the tabernacle. Kahat has the holy objects. Gershon has the coverings, and Merari has the heavy planks and other things. Those are basic things. Now, that's what they did in the desert when they traveled for the 40 years in the desert. Whenever they would move from one place to another, they would be responsible not of dismantling, because that was the Kohanim that did that, but of the movement of the Mishkan from one place to another. But that was only a temporary law, because of course, once the Holy Temple was placed and set in its final destination in Jerusalem, right, then no longer are they doing that job. So what was their job? So Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Shmuel, the Talmud tells us in Tractate of Erechin, what is the scriptural basis for the requirement to accompany offerings with song? So now they replace that hard work with singing songs in the Holy Temple. Rabbi Yochanan said it is derived from the verse that states everyone who entered to do the work of service. The work of service in Hebrew is la'avod, avodat, avodah, right? So what does that mean to work the work? What is the work that must be performed in conjunction with another service? In other words, it's a conjunction service. It's a service for the service. So it's not the service itself, right? The service itself is done by the Kohanim. So what is that which is an accompaniment? Well, they must say that is song. That's the idea. Song. That's what's right. That is an accompaniment. In other words, it's not to the service itself, but that which accompanies the service. The Rambam details now what is in that service. The descendants of Levi were singled out for the service in the sanctuary. Their service was to be singers who would accompany the sacrifices with song each day. When the songs recited, at the times when all the communal burnt offerings were brought, when the peace offerings brought on Shavuos, and when the wine libation were brought. So here we have a connection to Shavuos, right? This is what the Levites would do. They would sing. There should never be fewer than 12 Levites standing on the duchen. The duchen is a platform each day to recite the songs over the sacrifices, and the number could be increased without end. So minimum had to be 12 at any time. The songs were sung vocally without musical instruments, for the fundamental dimension of the song is vocalization. Other Levites, that was the one aspect, but other Levites would stand on the duchen and play melodies with musical instruments. So there were those that sung and those that played musical instruments. On what instruments would they play? On the lyres, flutes, harps, trumpets, and cymbal. There would not be fewer than 2 lyres, no more than 6. There were not to be fewer than 2 flutes, no more than 12. There should be not fewer than 2 trumpets, no more than 120 trumpets. There should be, sounds like a real jazz festival over here. There should be not fewer than 9 harps, and there is no upper limit. And there should be only 1 cymbal. So this is what the Levites did, right? So continuing. All the numbers who, by Moshe, Aaron, and the chieftains of Israel, were counted, the Levites according to their families and their father's house, from the age of 30 and upwards until the age of 50, who were fit to perform the service and the work of carrying in the tent of meeting. The tally was 8,580. As directed by God, they were appointed by Moshe, each man to his service and his burden, and they were counted as God had commanded Moshe, right? So the question that is asked is the idea of 30 to 50. Rashi says, count those among them who are fit for service of carrying and are of the age of 30 until 50. One under 30 has not reached the peak of his strength. From this, our sages said, at 30 for full strength. Over the age of 50, one's strength begins to wane. So we get that when it comes to the work of carrying the various items of the Mishkan when they were journeying from one location to another location in the desert for 40 years. Well, what's that got to do with singing? It was the same law when it comes to singing, that they were only between 30 and 50 years old. The Ramban asks this question also, right? The Ramban asks that why not younger than 20 that you could come and sing, or younger than 30, right? Why not older than 50? What is the problem when it comes to singing? Why would that be a limitation? So there's different explanations. One explanation that's given is because of the tough business that there was a stamina that was required to play instruments. And because of that stamina, therefore, it was only between 30 and 50, similar to the idea of strength. It's not the same kind of strength, but there's a certain stamina that was necessary in order to be able to play the instruments. The Rebbe explains, he says, that actually it was only about the physical instruments that there was a limitation between the ages of 30 and 50, but for singing, all ages of the Levites were able to participate. They were all able to participate, right? That's what the Rebbe explains. Okay. You know what they sang? Anybody know what the Levites sang? We say it every day in davening. The Hayoim Yoim, the song of the day that the Levites would say in the Beis Hamikdash. That is what they would share every day. Let's look over here. This is the Mishnah. The Mishnah Tractate Tamid says the following. The following are the psalms that were chanted by the Levites in the temple. On the first day, they used to say that the earth is God's and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. That's what we said today, right? On the second day, which will be even tomorrow, even though it's Yom Tov, we'll still say this. They used to say, great is God and highly to be praised in the city of our God, his holy mountain. On the third day, they would say, God stands in the conjunction of a congregation of God, right? In the midst of the judges, he judges. On the fourth day, he would say, O Lord God, to whom vengeance belongs. God, to whom vengeance belongs, shine forth. On the fifth day, sing aloud unto God our strength, shout unto the God of Jacob. On the sixth day, he used to say, God reigns, he is clothed in his majesty, God is clothed, he has girded himself with strength. And Shabbos, they used to say, a psalm of Shabbos day. This is what the Levites would say. Where does this come from? King David, but there was a melody that came with it. Anybody know where the melody came from?
I have Lady Brown. You know, Lady Brown, together with her, it's coming with his family.
Sorry. Someone was sharing something I didn't catch. Does anybody know where this comes from? Where the melodies come from? This is from King David, the Psalms. So Moses was a Levite himself, and he personally instructed the Levites how to sing. This then is what it means that they were instructed by the voice of Moshe, namely with a particular pleasant chants, so as to vocally express the music. For the primary musical service in the temple was singing. The Vilna Gaon says a similar idea. The Vilna Gaon praised the wisdom of music greatly. He used to say that that the most explanations of the Torah, secrets of the songs of the Levites and the secrets of the Zohar cannot be comprehended without it. One can revive the dead with its secrets, which are concealed in the Torah. He used to say that numerous songs and numerous rhythms were brought down from Har Sinai by Moshe, our teacher. The other songs are mere hybrids. Interesting.
Rabbi, I have a question.
Yes.
Why are you saying that David was responsible for the songs? This is long before David's time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not seeing the connection. The Levites, we are speaking about the time when they just came out of Egypt.
Right.
They were in the desert. So where is the connection with David, King David?
So very good question. Excellent question. So there are some of the Psalms that, you know, King David's Psalms are prophetic. They're inspirational. And they are not necessarily something that was only said by him, but he's actually taking from previous times. Like there is Livnei Korach, the children of Korach. There is Asaph. He even mentions different people of psalms that they were saying, and he is just repeating it, so to speak, I guess, in prophetic vision, giving over their song. So many of the songs are not actually songs that he initially composed, but it's put all into Tehillim. So there are some that are his psalms that he composed, and others that, again, in a sense, we credit to him to it because it's all part of the book of Psalms, and it's all something that is an inspirational that he wrote down. Those songs from previous generations, they weren't written until King David. But yeah, I want to look more into that. That's a very good question. But that's the brief answer. I think there's more to each particular one and its origins. Yeah, its origins.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but thank you for that good question. So,
Rabbi,
yes.
the prayer book has, like on Monday, it says the Psalm by the sons of Korach. On Tuesday, the Psalm by Asaph. It doesn't say David.
Right. Well, there's the examples I just gave. The sons of Korach. I just said Livnei Korach and then Asaph. Exactly. That's the examples that I gave. Again, as I said, it's credited to him, not that he is the originator of every psalm. Some he's the originator of, and some he's just prophetic vision that he wrote them down, and I became part of the book of Psalms. It's sort of like, let's today we started a new book in Tanya, right? And what were the first words of the book of the second book? Was similar to the first book. What did it say? What does the Alter Rebbe in his humility call it? A compilation of teachings, because he is taking from other teachers, right? He is indeed taking from other teachers. So he calls it a compilation of teachings based on others. Is he giving something new here? Absolutely, he's giving something new. Yet he's, it's based on predecessors of other teachers, other, great holy scholars and rabbis. And same thing as with King David, right? So once again, it's his book, right? It's the Alter Rebbe's book, Tanya. It's not someone else's book. So same thing, King David, it's his book, even though he's taking from others that are put into the book, right? How many there are, that's a good question, that are from previous, previous, what's the word I'm looking for? Authors. So Livnei Korach and Asaph, there's example. I'm trying to think, there's other examples, but it just doesn't come to mind right now of the other examples. So is that clear, Andrew? Right, okay. So what was the point of the musical ensemble? Anybody?
Didn't David say he danced for the Lord?
Huh?
Sing to the Lord. David said somewhere he danced for the Lord.
Right. So exactly. Let's see what the Alter Rebbe says on this.
I know music is also used to present, to give one the presence, to put one in the presence of Hashem. It's a means that is used to elevate one's soul, to experience Hashem.
Exactly. Let's see how the Alter Rebbe expresses that. Yes, exactly. So the Levites' music, this is from the Alter Rebbe, Torah Or, was an expression of their intense desire to be submerged in the godly reality. The Levites had no other passion or desire, focusing their love exclusively to God. This incredible passion was expressed in music and song, as is well known that music is the expression of the heart. Right? Let's see the next text that brings out also. I heard from my saintly grandfather, in the name of the renowned Tzaddik of Tzanz, the Divrei Chaim, Rabbi Chaim Halbershtam, the following tradition: when a person would bring a sacrifice in the temple, he would bring it to the Kohen, who would then ask him, what sin is this sacrifice for? The offender would relate his sin amid much bitterness and remorse, to which the Kohen would respond, Oi, How did you make such a terrible blunder before God who fills this entire universe? And other such words of rebuke. The Kohen would then indicate to the Levites standing on the stage to start up a tearful, stirring music. As the offender would place his hands on the sacrifice and confess his sin, I have sinned with such and such an offense. I am now full of remorse, and here is my atonement. He would be aroused with such emotion, bursting into remorseful tears. When the Kohen would see the person's heart just about to at a breaking point, he would indicate to the Levites to begin playing joyous music to revive his spirit immediately thereafter. They would offer the sacrifice, thus the sinner was duly atoned. Wow, that's powerful. That's very powerful. So exactly like Denny, like you mentioned, it stirs the heart, right? You know, here you're coming. Sorry. You know, you're coming to bring an offering, which is an action of bringing that offering on the altar. But together with that offering, what do you need? Together with the action, what do you need? Kavana, intent. You need intent, like we've learned in Tanya, right? And there's doing the action of a mitzvah, but together that we need kavana, you need intent. You need to be able to connect to God through the action, because sometimes we can do an action that doesn't bring us to the intent that is necessary together with it, right? So you can put on tefillin, you can say your prayers, you can do mitzvahs, but if you don't have the kavana, the intent, so you're missing an integral part. So the Kohen was responsible to do the action of the service, the actual physical actions involved in the divine service. At the same time, they were there to arouse the Jew that came to bring an offering to arouse within them to do tshuva. But together with that tshuva, that they needed to something to accompany to bring out that arousal in a very deep, profound way, and that's what the music did. That's what the music did, right? So first, it was very heartfelt. That would bring, the pain of feeling the lack in one's service. But then, as we know, we say in our davening that that God is abundantly forgiving. So you've already asked for forgiveness. Now that you've asked for forgiveness, Hashem is abundantly forgiving. You need to be joyful and move forward. So they changed the melody then to a joyful melody as a result. So we see the interesting tie-in with what we learn, in Tanya is it's one thing to do the physical act of bringing an offering, but you need kavana, you need intent that you're, truly going through the process of fixing what you need to fix in your life, right?
Actually, Rabbi, if I may interject here,
Sure.
the word music in English comes from the Greek, which speaks about the muses, which are the Greek goddesses who do exactly that, arouse the individual, in terms of whether it's music, it's poetry, it's art, and so on. So there is that connection. So I don't know if, and I'm guessing I'm asking a question now. Is the original word for music in Hebrew, is it connected to feelings, sensations as well, as was the original Greek word for music?
So let me see what he uses over here for the word. There's the word shir, which is like a joyful music. I just want to see what, there's zimra, which is also music. Another word for music, also zemer, which can also go with instruments. Here. Just trying to see. Nigun, which is, I don't know what the root nigun again. Nigun is melody specifically. So nigun is specifically melody. Shir is joyful joyful song to translate. And Zemer is also probably more of a emphasizing the instrumental part of music. I think those are the three that I'm aware of, but I'd have to do a little more research to be more precise. Very good question. Very good question. So what's interesting is that the Kohen would then give to the Levites the instructions of what specifically to sing in order to help this person get to where they need to go to, right? And then once they've touched the depths of their heart, then to rejoice. So nigun would be more of touching the depths of the heart. Then from there you come to shir, that you're going to be more joyous, because once you touch the depths of your heart, that means you're connected. You're connected to Hashem. You're connected to Hashem. Once you have that connection to Hashem, then it's something to celebrate and to be joyful about. So very interesting how it was sort of very, very precise, in Chabad, melody and singing is a very integral part of the Chabad experience. There's a famous story, the Rebbe Rashab, the fifth Lubavitcher Rebbe, who passed away in 1920 by a Fabringen. Well, Fabringen, the mainstay of a Fabringen is the Rebbe speaking and his words of Torah, right? Which is for every chassid, when a Rebbe speaks, it's like, you're at the foot of Mount Sinai and hearing, the word of God at the foot of Mount Sinai. That's what a Fabringen is, for a chassid. And here the chassidim are, the Rebbe Rashab is speaking. And often what would happen is finishing after 20 minutes, half an hour, or whatever the amount of time, was not necessarily finished a complete idea. Sometimes you would stop, and then what would Chassidim do? We'd sing a melody, a nigun, as it's called. And by Chabad, nigunim are particularly without words, for the most part, not always. A lot of them we have words, because the idea of nigun is about stirring the depths of the heart, trying to connect them into a deeper place within the heart. And words have a parameter to them. The word in Hebrew is teva. Teva means a container. A word is a container. It's a container of an idea. So when you sing a melody with words, then it's contained. It's got structure and therefore limitation. But a nigun touches a deeper place in the individual, beyond words, right? Beyond language of words at least, right? And for those who've experienced or seen with the Rebbe's Fabringens, it's awesome. So here the Rebbe Rashab was finished a sicha. In the middle, he didn't finish the thought, but then they went into a nigun. And at one point in nigun, the Chassidim were singing it hurriedly, not gently and slowly the way it was meant to be sung. And the reason they did it is because they were just very eager to hear him continue his teachings. Because, this is all like interlude, this is intermission, relatively speaking, to the words, the words of the Rebbe. And the Rebbe Rashab got very upset. He said, it's not interlude. This is not recess. A nigun is part and parcel of the Fabringen. It's part and parcel of the way we need to serve God. It's not like, it's intermission and, now we can go to, it's an interlude waiting for the next, next words of Holy Torah. It's a thing for itself. And in that sense, we get that idea here, because on one hand, initially, how did we learn about melody? What, remember? It's replacing what the Levites did in taking the Mishkan, all the artifacts of the Mishkan, and carrying it from one place to the next, right? That was their job. That's the clear job in the parsha. The singing is a very hinted to in the words, right? It's only alluded to. It's not explicit. But how's it hinted? It's a service for a service. What does that mean? A service for a service. In other words, it's only an accompaniment of the Kohanim, right? So on the simple level, it's only an accompaniment. It's almost like background music in a sense, right? That's on one level. But on a deeper level, really, it's not merely accompaniment. It's really what is able to bring you to a place that will touch a deeper place in your soul that you wouldn't be able to if you didn't have the music. As you know, as per the reading that we just heard, that specifically the melody that's going to be able to touch your soul in order that arouse you the way is necessary, and then after you've aroused and you've done tshuva the way you should do tshuva, and then to bring you to a place of joy. As you know, one shouldn't be in a melancholy or heartfelt, deep, what's the word, self-appraisal too long, because we got to be full of joy. So you came here bringing your offering for a specific purpose, right, of something that you did inadvertently wrong. So, okay, dealt with it, and now come to a place of a melody of joy. So, meaning that the melody also serves as a purpose, right? But it's a purpose that is integral to the fact of what you're doing here, bringing an offering, to be able to get you to the right place so you can be giving that offering, that sacrifice in the appropriate manner. So today, melody is even greater than that in a sense, because what happened with the Rebbe Rashab? Till now, we understand melody as a means to an end. It's only an accompaniment. It's helping me to get to a place where I need to get to so I can bring my offering. The Rebbe Rashab was upset that, no, melody isn't just so now I could be in a better frame of mind, in a better place, so that thereafter I could hear the words of Torah better. I mean, there's a value, I'm sure that there is a value in that itself too. But melody, actually it's Hayom Yom, it's a thought of the day that the Rebbe writes from, I think maybe even the Rebbe Rashab, that a melody scours the soul. It's a cleansing. So don't Rashi says the melody, because it's not about just, I'm just hearing words of Torah that are going to be inspirational and, take your mind and give you new, insight into the divine. A melody has value in and of itself because it scours the soul. It's a cleansing of the soul. So don't hurry and rush it. It's got to take its proper time. So by Chassidim, by previous generations, a melody in Chabad can only be sung by those who knew the melody well and would be able to sing it properly. The Mittler Rebbe, the second Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe's son, had his own orchestra. That would, he would often have them play, sing music and play instruments. That's how integral it was. How integral. And there's a story here that I want to end with, and I don't remember the details now. It just comes to me now. Oh man, it's a beautiful story. Oh my gosh. If I would have thought of it earlier, I would have looked it up. I'm not going to say it properly, but I'm going to just give the basic. So he had his orchestra, and if I remember correctly, it was even his, I don't know if his son was riding a horse, some kind of horse. I don't know if it was a horse competition or something. I don't recall that detail now exactly, but definitely with a horse. So, and they were playing, and it was like magnificent. And in the middle, he falls off the horse. And later, I mean, and the Midler Rebbe continue without, but he actually broke his leg, if I recall the details properly. Davida, you have something to share about this story? Maybe you remember the story better than I do. If you do, then tell it over, because I can't remember the detail. In any case, it continued and continued. And what that did, I don't remember the details now, but it saved something tremendous. Even though his son, if I recall, it was his son with a broken leg, didn't stop for that, because it was necessary for that music to continue, because it brought salvation above and beyond. And I don't remember the details. Davida, you have something to share with that story? I see your hand up. No? Go ahead. I don't hear you. Okay. Anyway, I'm very sorry that I don't. The point being that what we're seeing here about music, right? That there's something extremely powerful about music. We can see it in the culture that we live in, how powerful music is, right? That you can have people who play music and all of a sudden they can have an opinion about politics, and that people will listen. Or they can have an opinion about, how to lead your life, even though, they might be, whatever, drug addicts. But because they play music, they have an unusual effect on people. Because what the Alter Rebbe writes here, he wrote that music is an expression of the heart, but in another place he also writes that music is actually a pen of the soul. Music without words specifically, or as a pen of the soul. Because the soul, what is the soul? The soul is not 10 powers of the soul. 10 powers of the soul are powers of the soul. That's not the essence of the soul. The essence of the soul is beyond its powers and beyond even its expression. And meaning it's beyond language. Everything that I'm explaining right now is through language. And through language, you can have an appreciation, understanding of some intelligence, of some idea, and hear, divine idea of Torah. Right? How do you touch, though, something beyond language? I mean, that's a very difficult thing to do. Think about it. Everything we do, we express in some form of language, right? Through speech, communicating. And that's the mainstay of what we need to do. But we need to also be able to touch deeper in ourselves and deeper in another. And one of the ways that we do that is through music, melody, nigun, which is the melody as opposed to the words. Because the nigun is without words. And because it's without words, therefore it can be a true expression of the soul itself that is beyond language, beyond even powers of the soul of intelligence and emotions. You're touching the soul itself. And that's why it can scour and cleanse the very soul itself. That is nigun. So we have a custom on the holidays. And with this, I'm going to end. Chabad custom. You know how we end off the holiday? You know how we end off the holidays? What do you think? Nigun. We sing. We get around the table and we sing the Chabad nigunim from all the Rebbeim. starting with the Baal Shem Tov, Shalosh Tenuas. Starting with the Baal Shem Tov, Shalosh Tenuas with the 3 movements, it's called. Then the Alter Rebbe, 4 movements, which is the wedding, what we sing under a chuppah. It's such a powerful song that the Alter Rebbe's song, Daled Bavas, as it's called, 4 stanzas, you can only sing it at certain holy occasions, like the end of a holiday, under the chuppah. That's a song we sing under the chuppah. We sing it on special occasions like, Yud Tes Kislev and other times of the year. Only very special times. It's so holy and so powerful. It is one of the 10 nigunim that the Alter Rebbe composed himself. And then we sing the Middler Rebbe's, what's called, Capella, the Capella, which was then the Tzemach Tzedek. We sing the Darkecha, which is in from King David's Psalms. Then we sing L'Chatchila Riber for the Rebbe Marash. Then the Achana Niggin for the Rebbe Rashab, preparation Niggin, and then the Beinani, it's a melody for the Frierdiker Rebbe. And the Rebbe is interesting. There are a bunch of melodies that we sing, and most of them are, the other songs were very soulful and heartfelt. And melodies of the Rebbe are primarily very lively ones. And it kind of changed. I mentioned earlier that in the court of Chabad, you had to be able to know the melody, and you had to have a decent voice to be able to sing along. Otherwise, you were kind of, I don't know if you were hushed up. I don't know if that's what the case was, but you were. But in the Rebbe's court, everybody could sing. And the Rebbe's songs were primarily more joyous ones. And part of that is that we live in a generation now that we need to have complete joy. We have to be careful about the heart-rendering melodies. We have to that scour the soul. We have to be enough engaged in serving God that that part should be taken properly, done properly, and not gone off off the deep end in a bad way, in a negative way. So and more importantly, in our generation, being a lower generation, we need more joy than ever before. So much of the Rebbe's nigunim are joyful, even not all of them. Some of the Chanafshi the Rebbe taught, and the Rebbe himself taught nigunim that were lost. And he would do that Simchas Torah. Can you imagine Simchas Torah? From 1952 to 1962, something like that. 10 different nigunim, somewhere around like that. He would come down after Simchas Torah, like the dancing would finish, 2 o'clock in the morning. He would come 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and teach a melody. He would teach a melody on Simchas Torah. Anyway, that's the story of the melody. Andrew.
Congregation Israel in Springfield a couple of years ago had a production they put on for the Nigun, the song, the Rebbe. I don't remember who it was, but we went, and it was, and they had it was interspersed some films, some storytelling.
Yeah.
I don't remember who it was. The other thing is it looks like that story you were talking about was Rob Dover was observed singing the performance from his window. It happened that he saw, informed that his son was in great danger after he fell off the horse, and he motioned nonetheless with his hand to continue the festivities.
Oh, okay. So go ahead, read. Continue.
No, that's where it came from.
Oh, okay. And yeah, to continue, and
I just got the clip. I Googled it while I was just trying to figure out if I could.
Okay, thank you. Oh, so but there isn't a continuation to the story?
I tried opening it up. Google goes all over the place.
Okay. All right. David, please. David, you have your hand up. Unmute yourself. You're muted. There you go.
I don't know. I don't have a very good reception on the course. I don't know, it just cut a lot of time. Do you know? I don't know why. It's just maybe what it is. I don't know.
I'm going to put it
But
up on YouTube, so you'll be able to get the recording.
Okay, and I was thinking a question that where we found those beautiful melodies, Nigun.
Today on YouTube, you can go and you can hear the Rebbe singing. You can see. Go on YouTube and put Chabad Nigunim or Chabad melodies. Put Chabad melodies in, and you'll find
Chabad melodies. And yeah, the Levite. Like I'd like to know. That's what you was teaching us. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you.
Sure. A reminder to everybody's shuas to go and hear the 10 Commandments in shul. Very important that we go hear the 10 Commandments in shul. If you don't have a shul near you, at least read it in your house. Not the same thing, but better than not doing anything for shuas. And then and celebrate. We got to be, this is the holiday of holidays in the sense that if it wasn't for this day, we would just be another person on the street. We would just be like any other nation. This is where we became a nation. This is where our soul was imbued and becomes a part and parcel of who and what we are. And the Jewish people. And what's going on in the Middle East today, we can take great pride in being part of such a wonderful people. As is evident throughout the world, wherever Jews are coming to. Thank you, Davida. I see that you found it. Yeah, you found the link. So you have the link there. Great. What we see around the world is the Jewish way of doing things, as opposed to the rest of the world, the rest of the world. Actually, in the end, it's the rest of the world. So how lucky we are. And time to celebrate. All right, everybody, I want to wish everybody a wonderful holiday. We should receive the Torah with simcha, with joy. In other words, what do you mean joy? It's not a ball and chain. It's not something I have to do. We have to do it because God says to do the mitzvahs. You have no choice. But we should do it with joy. We should receive the Torah with joy and an inwardness that it's meaningful to us. Good jontif to everybody. Thank you. Wonderful to see you guys. And we'll continue Wednesday morning with Tanya. And Wednesday night with the Mashiach course, of course.
Cheesecake and ice cream.
Cheesecake, yeah. Don't OD on the cheesecake and ice cream. Be careful, enjoy it. But there's been known to people that they OD on this stuff and they come out like, oh my gosh, such a sugar high and such a enjoy. Chag Sameach, everybody. Chag Sameach. Bless you all.
Chag Sameach.
Be well.